Okay, knit one, purl two. All right, so knitting is not my hobby, but this week on Hobbies, Crafts, and Collectibles, we have a great guest, Jeanette Huisinga from KZ, who has not only made it her hobby, she's made it a profession. You're going to enjoy her work, so stay with us. We'll also be talking with Dave Hunter from Charleston, who does incredible bead work. Please join us. It is my privilege to welcome Jeanette Huisinga to our set today. She's from my hometown, KZ, Illinois. Hi, Jeanette.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. I just get all giddy when I see all this color and texture, and I'm really excited. I've been wanting to have a knitter on the show, and I hear you're a pretty darn good one.
I very much enjoy it. I'm passionate about it.
Well, and you've been doing it for a while, but then you also have gotten to a point where you can actually teach others to do it.
Yes.
So that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, and I enjoy doing that.
Oh, good, good. I had a friend try to teach me one time. In fact, I should have brought my project. It's still about this big.
I hear that a lot. Everybody says, now, don't mind me. I'm not going to be able to do this. It's like, yes, you can.
Yes.
It's one or two, it's 2 stitches. That's all it is.
Yeah. That's amazing to me.
That is it. 2 stitches does all of this.
And what I love is, this has been around since when do you think they started?
You know they were making their socks and making things way back when, so
it was a necessity.
So it wasn't pleasurable, but now it's definitely an enjoyable hobby.
Absolutely, and it's fashionable too. A lot of young women are picking up. I see a lot of knitting blogs.
Exactly. It's interesting. I have 2 groups of people, it seems like, that I work with, and one is the very young and one is the teenage and the teenage set. They're just really enjoying it.
Oh, neat. And you can really see in the yarns how they are starting to manufacture the yarns to meet the fashion needs today?
Yes, they are. They're getting very trendy with some of the things that they're making, and they put a lot of color in it that they think will appeal to people, and that just makes it fun. When you're knitting a piece and you get to go through different textures and different colors, it's like you can't stop because you just want to go to the next color. You want to see how this is going to pattern out. It's obsessive.
I hear you. Okay. What I love is the bright color. So I want to just show our viewers some of the new yarns that they have out now and show some of your beautiful work. It's pretty amazing. These yarns here, love pink.
Me too.
What can you tell us about this type of yarn? Would this be a standard type of yarn that you might see?
This is one of my favorite standard type of yarns that I like to use. It is a superwash, so that means that you can throw it in the washer and the dryer with no fear of it shrinking, but it is 100% wool, so you still get those wool qualities. And wool, when you're working with that, makes your stitches even out and look very, very pretty. So that's something you want to do. You want to work with some wool because it makes you look like a better knitter.
It's not very itchy or anything.
No, it's been treated, and a lot of people don't know that.
Ah, I see. Now, would these be examples of that type of yarn?
That is another example. It could be superwash, but that happens to just be 100% wool. It is soft. It happened to have no color when we got it, and we hand dyed it to make it have all of that color. And then it's fun to be able to knit it together there again. I'm really into the color and the texture.
Oh, that is great. So you can hand dye. You don't have to look through the stores to find that color you're looking for.
That is so true. I've had people come in and they need it. You know, there's some people come up and they need a special type of yarn, and it's like, we can fix that up. We can dye that.
Yeah. I love this hat. This is so cute.
That is
it's got a little flower on the top of it.
And I might add, hats are something that's very easy to do. It's not far off from a beginner project, yes. And it makes you feel like you have a real sense of accomplishment when you're done with it. Because look at the shape of it.
If I made this, I would feel pretty accomplished. Yeah. Now you're doing one of the things that I love. I love to wear hats, and I love to put vintage pins on hats.
I do too. I'm just constantly looking at them.
Oh yeah. And what's not to love about this one? It's red and pink. And this is this feels a little bit more nubby.
This is one of the more trendy yarns that it's out there, but I think this fall you're going to see a lot of big yarns and with a lot of texture and a lot of nubs. It's supposed to have a homemade, handmade look, but yet you don't want it to look handmade when you're finished. So that gives you kind of the overall package.
And that's what I love about it, because it doesn't look like it takes as many stitches either. There's such thickness to this yarn.
Yes, that is a very quick project.
How long would that take you, the professional?
I'm going to say a couple hours.
Really? Wow, that's amazing. I love that. And then scarves. You've got a beautiful scarf on. This is kind of a, what would you call this kind of scarf?
That is something that's also making a very big showing right now, and it's cowls. Yes, and they make them in all different colors. There is a cowl behind you on one of the dresses back there. And it's a fun cowl with some neat yarns, and you can put twists in them and different things, and it makes it so fun for everybody.
Oh, I love that when it's got such color and it looks so pretty against that pink sweater. And you did the sweater too.
Yes, and now that is made out of linen. People don't think that you can knit with anything besides wool, but linen is beautiful to knit with, and the more you wear it, the better that will feel. So that's definitely something you'll enjoy wearing.
That is cool. Now, I love these yarns. These yarns are, I would call funky.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't know if that's the technical term.
Very edgy.
Very edgy.
Yes.
Lots of different yarns, it looks like, put together.
The designer who did that yarn tied a whole bunch of different strings together. So when you're knitting, you go from one to the other, and you get this edgy look. For example, this right here is another cowl, and it was made with that type of yarn, and it's fashionable now to leave the nubs and things sticking out to give it more of that fun vibe.
It is fun.
Yeah, very fun.
So cool.
Very unique.
And this one has actual little pieces of sequins and stuff knitted into it.
This one's a little bit more sparkly. There again, it knits up very, very similar, and it's just a total treat to be able to knit with that.
Oh, that would be a beautiful scarf.
Yes, it'd make a gorgeous scarf.
I'll put my order in now.
All right.
Okay, now I want to go back to this hand dyeing. This is something that companies are doing now to get that. Is it just to get a variegated look from color to color?
People want, they don't want just a red, they don't want just a blue, they want the soft flowing colors. And like, for example, on the scarf that I'm wearing, it was made out of that type of yarn. And if you look up close, you can see all the traveling colors, but they're not consistent. So in a way, it reminds me of water, how that they get the depth. And it just enhances the overall knitting project. Yes, you enjoy knitting, but you can enhance it so much with the yarn you pick out.
Sure.
You can make or break a project with some of the yarn that you pick out.
Sure. Now, what I love about this is it's so light and airy.
Yes.
It's not hot and heavy. Now, knitting isn't just for winter anymore, is it?
No, and you'd be surprised to know this is wool.
That is wool.
This is wool. This is a lot like that superwash wool where it's been treated, so I can throw this in the washing machine or the dryer when I'm finished with it. But this is a real versatile piece. It's a scarf now, but I could also wear it as a shawl. And in the wintertime, I can wear it with longer sleeves. So this is definitely, because of the holes, this is the type of stitch that we're using with this. It makes it more airy and more fun.
Yes, absolutely. And I just love that color. That teal color is just gorgeous.
And the movement that you get in it with the colors. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Now, I want to show this jewelry.
Okay.
This jewelry is neat. We're not just doing sweaters and scarves and hats, traditional. We're getting some really beautiful, fashionable jewelry with beading and incorporating that.
Yes, this is really popular with, especially with the younger set. It's very popular. Also, though, people who've been knitting for a long time want to try something different to get them out of the box of just the traditional afghan or the traditional scarf. And so this is an excellent way. This bracelet right here can be made in 1 hour.
Oh, wow.
And this is the same bracelet, just doubled. It is very trendy right now to make your bracelets really long and wrap them around a couple of times. Sometimes they even show them like 4 times wrapped around on your wrist. And that's just a fun, trendy look, and just to layer it up with fun, different colors. But you put these beads onto the yarn before you're knitting. You string all of those on. So you're working with yarn that you have actually put these beads onto. And then when you're knitting, you bring a bead up, slide it up right up next to the needle, wrap your stitch, and go to the next one.
I see. That's cool. And this one is really neat. It's got some browns and blues and greens in it.
Yes.
And then you can just buy, I'll show them the fitting on the back. Now you just are able to buy these jewelry fittings then?
Yes.
And just
wherever you can go where they sell jewelry things, which is very, very popular, jewelry pieces. Same thing with the beads. Now, I will say if you're going to knit with beads, you need a size 6 bead to be able to fit onto the yarn nicely.
That's the whole.
That is the whole size, yes. And then the clasp is your choice.
I see.
But this is the same pattern as this bracelet that only took an hour. So you're talking, you know, a little over an hour, 2 hours, you can have a bracelet and a necklace.
Gotcha.
How fun is that?
That is really
Makes
fun.
a great gift.
Oh, yeah. And I got kind of excited when I started seeing the needles, because I've seen, you know, the old metal needles, click, click, click. But you have some beautiful needles, and they come in different sizes, and I was aware of that. And that will determine how large your stitch is? Is
Yes,
that
exactly.
it?
The
Okay.
bigger the hole, the bigger the needle likely.
Okay, now there's something I want you to explain. Okay. Now this one has 2 points on it.
Okay.
And as I've already said, I am not good at knitting.
Okay.
What is that for?
Okay, this is a double point knitting needle, and you can knit on this, for example, to do these bracelets, they're done on a double point. You knit on this side, and then you need to slide it to the other end to work. You don't typically turn your work. So this is used a lot for I-cords, and that's how a lot of these were made.
I see.
There is a time when at the top of a hat, you would also use these to get your stitches into a smaller area. This is very necessary for knitters.
Gotcha. And now these are beautiful. These look like they're inlaid wood or dyed wood or something.
I
but
love
look at these. Let's
beautiful
get a close-up.
needles.
Yeah, well, that just makes it fun, I
That
think.
makes it fun. And I'll tell you what else has changed is the finish. I don't know if you can feel how smooth
they're
those
very
are.
smooth.
Very smooth. And then I like nice points. And these have an example of having a really nice point. When you're making something that has lace on it, you want to be able to get your point into your work and be able to wrap your stitches well. And this is a perfect example of a needle that some people like wood needles, some people like metal needles. This bridges the gap.
I see. Oh, and what a beautiful gift for a knitter.
An excellent gift
I
for a
just
knitter.
think that is a great gift.
Yes.
This is a hint to any of you husbands out there looking for something for your wife. This is a beautiful set. I just like it just to.
And they make them in different colors and with different ends. It's kind of trendy to get a fun little end on the up here for when you're knitting, so it dresses up your work a little bit.
Yeah, and again, I want to emphasize that the trends.
Trends.
Knitting is very trendy. It's made a huge comeback. You get beautiful yarns, and you were explaining to me about this sock. Explain to the audience why this is unique.
Okay, it looks a lot harder than it really was. It looks like I changed yarn every time that I needed that to have a color change, but
Yeah.
I didn't. You start with a yarn that is already dyed in this pattern. So when you're making this sock, it's unfolding while you're making it in all of these colors, and this is so fun to knit. Because
love
you just
that.
can't wait to see what pattern is going to come up next.
Right.
Yeah, and plus it's fun to wear.
Oh, so cool. Well, all of this stuff looks fun to wear. The beautiful vest, everything comes in such beautiful colors, even purses. We can do purses. I love that. Now, we are unfortunately out of time, but I just want to thank you for bringing all this beautiful work. And what would you say, really quick, to maybe a young girl who's thinking of taking up knitting?
Go for it.
Go for it.
Get some needles, get some yarn, and go for it. You can do it.
You can do it. And even if you think, oh my, I'm not getting it at the beginning, shortly you will have it, right? And then you have it for life.
Exactly. Yes, it's not a skill that you lose. So if you did know how to knit, you probably still do.
Okay, good to know. Well, thank you so much, Jeanette, for joining us
having
today.
me.
I appreciate it.
I
It's
enjoyed
beautiful.
it. Thank you.
Dave Hunter from Charleston is with us in the studio today. I am so excited to show you some of his beautiful work, and you get to see it kind of happen before your eyes today. Dave, thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks for having me. I'm honored to be here.
I've always been fascinated by this process and wanted to see it up close, so this is a really great opportunity for me. How did you first get into beading?
Well, I seem to have developed an interest in jewelry making at some point when I got out of college, which would have been the early 80s. And in the spring of '94, I happened to be in Sedona, Arizona on vacation. I was at a bead shop buying beads and somehow found out that they were going to be teaching a bead making class that very night. So I signed up for it. And as it turned out, no one else did, so I had 4 hours of private instruction from an old hippie named Sam out of the back of his Winnebago, and I have been addicted ever since.
I love that. So the moral of this story is if you want to learn beading, learn it from a hippie
Go
in
see
the back
an
of a
old
Winnebago.
hippo, yeah. It worked for me.
I love it. Well, it did. Yeah, it stuck, didn't it? And I'm sure it's evolved through the years, and there's always new techniques coming out.
There is, you know, when I first got into bead making, I would estimate that there were literally probably no more than 100 to 200 people in the entire country making beads. And since that time, there's been a veritable explosion of bead making, not only in this country, but worldwide. It was almost a lost art for a time, but now it's come back with a vengeance. And anyone who's interested in beads can find tons of material online. There's lots of YouTubes showing how to make different styles. In fact, I consult them myself to get new ideas. And
that's the great thing about the internet. It's just such a sharing community. You can even just look at free videos that are instructional about different techniques.
In my experience, most glass workers, not all, but most, tend to be very friendly people who are interested in helping each other grow, and we kind of feed off each other's energy, and we trade information and teaching and whatnot freely, and we're not, you know, sure, you're always going to find some people who jealously guard their trade secrets, but that's not the majority of folks that I know.
Right. Oh, I love that. That's great. Now, I want to show some work that you've done, but I also want you to have time to do this.
Sure.
But we've got large decorative beads, and I'm going to hold some up for the camera so they can see.
Sure.
We have different styles, and feel free to jump in at any time that you want to explain maybe the different techniques. But what I love are there's some really cool figural beads that you are doing. Look at these. This is awesome.
Yeah, these are some of my favorites to make, is the mushrooms. So you can use any color for the stem, any color for the cap, any color for the dots. I just made a friend of mine one the other day that had a white stem, a red top, and then two of the spots turned out to be, I made little blue eyes on them.
Oh, nice, nice. And these are great because you can embed wire in them and make necklace, little pendants or whatever. But this is an acorn, which I love. And then you can also turn the glass as you're doing it. And there's some great beads here that you've made that are, I'd call spirally.
Yeah, this kind of textured. What we use is what's called a marvering plate. When you marver glass, it just means you're rolling it against a surface to shape it. And when that particular bead was rolled diagonally across this grooved surface here, that's what created the spiral.
I see. Well,
spiral grooves.
There are a lot of tools to the trade, I know, and I really want to give you time to make some beads. So while we're kind of maybe, you know, a little short on time, let's go ahead.
I'll do a real quick rundown just to explain what's here. What I have
Are you going to
is
make us a mushroom?
I can, certainly.
That's what we should make.
I'll
Let's
probably
make
make a, what I'll do first is I'll pull a stringer, and that's just a long thin piece of glass used for decorating beads. Then I'll make a basic round bead. Then I will decorate that round bead with the stringer, and then I will make a mushroom bead as well. Just so people know what we're talking, in order to make beads, you've got to have a torch. This particular one runs off of MAP gas. This uses what's called a hothead torch. It just makes one size flame, and it's very loud. You'll hear it when I turn it on.
There might be a lack of talking during the torching part.
We build the bead on steel wires that are called mandrels. I'll dip the end of the mandrel about an inch or two into this liquid mud here. This is called bead release. This creates a barrier between the glass and the metal, so when it'll come off easily. Right, and kind of like Teflon. Right, and the mandrel is what creates the hole that runs through the middle of the bead.
Okay.
I have a variety of other tools. Sometimes I use dental picks, pliers, old butter knife. Anyway, when the bead is finished, I'll lay it to rest between these two layers of what's called fire blanket. That allows the glass to cool down slowly, because glass, if it cools down too rapidly, it will crack. It will crack,
okay.
And I've lost a lot of beads that way.
I bet. Now, you're starting with just rods of glass, and you can probably pick these up at hobby stores, right?
You can, and a lot of people are under the impression that glass is glass, and that's not really true. There's over 10,000 different recipes for glass, and the glass that is here is different than this kind of glass, which is different than the glass that's in here, which is different than the glass on the monitors.
Gotcha.
And glasses of two different types are usually not compatible with one another. You can melt them together, but they will cool at different rates, and therefore they will crack when they're cooling down.
All right.
So, are you ready for our first bead?
I am, and I got some cool safety glasses I get to wear.
These
an
are
important part of any
called
project.
dididium glasses. They're treated with a chemical to shield your eyes from a certain wavelength of white light that is emitted from the soda. This is called soda lime glass, and when soda gets really hot, it flares with a very bright white light. So here we go, lighting our torch. strainer.
Wow.
I'm going to make another one because that's actually purple.
Okay. That is fascinating.
Purple too. Oh well, it'll still work.
It's a dark purple.
Yeah. That's regular transparent black is actually very intense purple. Now I have to check it like a pool cue to make sure there's not a kink in the end. I have to spin the excess off. And I have to dry it out slowly because if I dry it too quickly, the water that is in there will boil and the bursting bubbles will crack the bead release.
I see.
Right there.
Uh-huh.
But since I'm not building the bead right there, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Okay, now we're going to take ivory here.
The top of our mushroom?
Nope, this is our basic round bead. Now if I don't
Oh.
do anything more with that bead, that's the shape it'll
Oh, it's
stay.
beautiful, yeah.
But if I bring it back into the flame and continue to rotate it back and forth, it will eventually take on a spherical shape.
Look at that, wow.
I continue to rotate it just a bit. Now this is cooled down to the point where I can touch it.
Okay.
This is a little tricky to do with a hothead torch. My torch at home I would turn down to a very small flame. And I'm just going to probe the flame to see where it starts. There we go.
Wow.
There we have a
Beautiful design, yeah. So we've got a red on, it looks kind of red, but it's going to be purple?
purpley. Now
Okay.
this is where the dental pit comes in handy.
Okay.
This is a technique called feathering.
You're so quickly running out of time.
Well,
This
I'm
is
just
beautiful.
I'm just going to reshape this and then I'll do the mushroom one.
Wow, that's beautiful. Can the camera pick up on that color? That's amazing. Now, how long would it take something like that to dry?
To cool down?
To cool down and be ready to...
Oh, about 20 to 30 minutes.
Okay.
So I'm going to put that here.
And then you put it there to cool off.
Right, right.
Okay, we are not going to have time for a mushroom.
Well, quite all right. Turn that off.
you're going to have to show me after
happy
the
to do
cameras
that.
go off how to do a mushroom.
be
That is
happy to do that.
fascinating, Dave. Really is. And again, the sky's the limit on this hobby.
Absolutely.
Because you can
make
learn.
all kinds of things.
Right. You're only limited by your imagination, and you've got a great one.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much, and we really appreciate you bringing everything down and setting it up and
You're
showing us
certainly
what
welcome.
it takes to make a bead. Thank you for joining us for this week of Hobbies, Crafts, and Collectibles. I hope you enjoyed yourself. Maybe you learned something. I did. I mean, look what a great teacher Jeanette is. If you know someone else we should talk to about their hobby, craft, or collectible, please contact us here at WEIU. Until next time.